YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back, and today we're going over the rankings of maybe the strangest position group of the 2021 NFL Draft. Also got some strange glare on my face. We're going to ignore that, but yeah, edge rushers will be next. They're separate from this interior defensive line group, of course. We did all the offensive positions, so check those out. But this interior defensive line class, very strange because every year, every position, there's a few prospects each position that, are they playing out of position at the college level? We're going to have to change their position. Do they have the power to play here? Do they have the speed to play there? This defensive line class is full. It's ridiculous, full of those players. So it's very odd. That's probably why you hear people saying it's a bad class. It's more because of that. But there are a few players that I really, really like here. So we'll break it down. Subscribe to our channel for all this NFL draft content. More to come. We have grades, winners, and losers throughout the draft, after the draft, so I cannot wait. Follow our Twitter. Fan vote and mock draft going on in there. We're always talking with you guys, talking NFL draft, reacting to draft picks on there, of course. Check out walktomock.com. Man, this glitter's throwing me off. That's all right, though. Show goes on. No fixing it now. But Twitter. Fan vote and mock draft at Goathouse NFL. You'll find a link, with that walktomock.com, with the Twitter pinned in the comments and the description here. We're going to make a video react to your guys, basically, mock draft. You guys voted for that. And then this draft guide's all in one spot here. Early access, some of these rankings as well. And it's all here. You actually could save these graphics, so it's good to keep handy. But that is for Patreon members. Patreon link down below as well. Tier 3 or higher, so the $5 tier or higher, you get this. With some other things there. Superlatives for the defensive line class here. Best nose tackle, I'm going to go Alim McNeil from NC State. True nose tackle there. And then we got defensive tackle, Christian Barmore. So a player lining up over the guard in that range, can move around a little bit. Man, this glare. 3 technique going Daviyon Nixon. I think we have an idea that maybe a guy, example, Levi Onwuzurike from Washington can possibly play to the next level. He might have the traits to do it. Daviyon Nixon, familiar with this position, played a lot there at Iowa, of course, so we're going to go with him. Best 3-4 defensive end, going to go Milton Williams from Louisiana Tech. Pretty versatile as well. We'll talk about a lot of these guys in a little bit, or all of them. Best versus the run, going to go Alim McNeil from NC State, the nose tackle, and could have went a guy like Tyler Shelvin from LSU. Best rusher, pass rusher, Christian Barmore. So one, you can go Milton Williams. Milton Williams actually played an edge rush position, but Christian Barmore was so effective as a pass rusher, especially in the dominant, the big games. He was dominant down the stretch. Best get off, explosiveness off the ball. Levi Onwuzurike from Washington explodes off the ball. Best athlete, Milton Williams, freak, tested very well, shows on tape. Most upside, going to go with the big name here. Go with Christian Barmore. I think he's got a ton of upside. We'll talk about what I mean in a little bit. Sleeper, Milton Williams' name again. Not a huge sleeper anymore. His name's kind of getting out there just because of his testing, but I still think people are hesitant to put him where he belongs, into round 2. You don't really see it often, so I still think he's a sleeper. Deep sleeper, going to go Darius Stills from West Virginia. Like his get off, his quickness, lateral movement, change direction as well. I think that's where he thrives. Number 1, interior defensive lineman, got to go Christian Barmore from Alabama. Got him in round 1. I think he's got a ton of upside too. We're actually starting to hear some buzz that he could go way earlier than we think. A lot of teams really high on him. From what I've heard, there's probably teams that have him as a top 10 player in this class. So media has had him around that first round range, but nowhere near as high as where apparently, we'll see if it's true. It just doesn't get the feeling of being fake, smoke. So, but yeah, the NFL a lot higher on him. And I can see why. Mainly that upside part. We'll get to that. I think he's very versatile. Bama runs a 3-4. He played a lot of 3-4 end, actually. Played D tackle, whether it's, over the guard, slightly inside, slightly outside, nose tackle. Lined up all over the spots. Played very well. What does that sound like? What Alabama guy kind of did that? Quinnen Williams. So it sounds a little bit like that. He's really not on Quinnen Williams' level, but you kind of get the idea there, how much trust and how much talent they believe Christian Barmore had. Extremely powerful. I mean, you see him so many times just drive guys back. They had to start. Barmore wasn't a huge name, wasn't that known, and teams didn't have a bunch of tape on him. They start to realize how good he is when they have tape on him. They got to double him up. He's even beating the double teams. He's even beating double teams against Notre Dame, in the big time games. So that stands out. Maybe he won't be doubled as much next to other NFL talented players. Dominated big games. Talk about that. Very high ceiling. I think the best years ahead of him coming here. Again, 2 years playing full-time at the position, moving around a bit, get him in the right spot, get him more reps, what he needs. I think he's got a lot of upside. I think that's what the NFL teams are banking on. He's got good production, got good play, tape, and then has that upside. So I think that's why teams have him top 15 range on their board. Doesn't mean he's a lock top 15, though. Why passing him? Like I said, he played a bit of 3-4 end. I don't know if he's going to be able to get away with that in the NFL. He'll play it here and there. Maybe he'll play nose here and there, but I think he fits in that D tackle range. Maybe he can play 3 technique on the outside shoulder of the guard, over the guard, very slightly inside the guard. Maybe does he have the quickness, the athleticism? He does, but does he have that much to play 3-4 end? I think sometimes, but I just don't think we're going to see him playing a load of it like he did at Alabama. So I guess, does he have a firm position? That's kind of the storyline of the defensive line class. Not yet, but he has the upside and the ability to find that and play well there. Inexperienced, but kind of goes into, I think, his upside. It's almost a good thing. Number 2, going to be Levi Onwuzurike from Washington. Borderline guy, round 1, round 2. I think more likely we see him in round 2. I just think it's okay. It's not a bad pick if somebody takes him in round 1. That's kind of my point here. But I think what kind of gets him almost that label for me is his get off. I mean, I'm calling it elite get off the ball, explodes off the ball. I mean, we're talking about a good edge. Chase Young last year, big trait for him. His get off was ridiculous. We're almost talking on that level. You don't see it too often from an interior defensive lineman. Maybe Aaron Donald. He's not going to be Aaron Donald, but when do we see this? If you watch him, he just really explodes off the ball. He played nose, D tackle. That D tackle, I'm considering that, of course, over the guard, slightly outside, inside. He played more inside. The guard and inside is kind of where he played. Over the guard, I should say, and inside. So, and for that position, pretty athletic, especially off the ball, but pretty athletic in general for that position. So that's impressive. Strong upper body, for an athletic guy that plays inside, high motor guy as well. And kind of going to maybe why you pass on him. Can he continue to play inside? I mean, he played nose tackle a ton. I don't know if this guy's a nose tackle in the NFL. Is he strong enough? He's pretty strong, but is he strong enough? Does he have enough? Yeah, does he have enough power to play inside? I think on obvious passing downs, passing situations, sure he can play inside. You want just your best pass rushers out there. You're not really worried about having a big guy to plug things up, on obvious passing downs. But it's almost like his role is going to have to change, which makes him pretty risky, pretty damn risky there. So I think, people are going to view him as, playing over the guard is probably, the furthest in he goes. So it's an adjustment. But his traits, that get off, can't get over that. His explosiveness, his IQ, his talent. I'm banking on him adjusting. Adjusting there. I don't know if he has the balance to play inside. Those stronger blockers as well. I think they're going to throw him off a little bit. So he's kind of got to find that role. That's the tough part about him. That's the real tough part. A lot of these guys. Number 3, I'm going to go Milton Williams. I like him, very high on him from Louisiana Tech. Just a freak athlete. We saw the testing numbers, but you watch him on tape, just an absolute freak of an athlete. He's the most athletic defensive line in this class. You could consider him an edge rusher because 2019 he played a little more outside the tackle, but played there quite a bit. And 284 has experience, 284 pounds has experience there. 5 years ago, that would have been for sure an edge rusher, 4-3 defensive end. Now getting a little, smaller on the edge, so he can get smaller inside. But, I think, look where he's played, too. He's played outside the tackle, over the tackle, inside the tackle, outside the guard, over the guard. Pretty versatile. But I think he has, why I'm not too worried about him, I think he has the athleticism. Well, we know he has athleticism to play. He's more athletic than a lot of the true edge rushers in the class. I think he has athleticism to play out there, and I think he has the strength to play inside. I just wouldn't put him anywhere further than the guard, over the guard, and over, obviously, which I don't think teams are going to do that. Teams kind of worry about not the athleticism, but the length to play off the edge. I'm not super concerned about that, but does he have the size to play inside? Again, I don't think teams are going to put him really, over the guard, possibly over the guard at times, but anywhere inside. Again, we talk about he's versatile, but I do really like him as a 3-4 end. You will in the back of your mind, you have some concerns if teams want to put him off the edge, outside the tackle every rep, or at 3 technique every rep. So that, versatile, but, kind of a what if here. I like him at 3-4 end. And that's why, 3-4 team, that's why I want him to go. I'll feel a lot more comfortable if that team takes him. We'll know where he's going to play then. If 4-3 team takes him, what are they going to do with him? Talented dude, but you kind of question it. And then we got number 4. Love me some Alim McNeil, nose tackle from NC State. Big fan of him. Really the only thing with these guys, nose tackles are kind of getting devalued these days. They're kind of getting devalued, and and that's because what's their involvement in terms of getting pressure? And yeah, he does need to improve that. Needs to apply more, pressure on the quarterback because, where's the value at then? Do you draft a guy in round 2 where I have him if he's not going to be on the field on every single down? That's kind of the question there. So that's really the only thing. It is kind of a big one, but I'm confident with him. We'll talk about the positives now. I think he's a great athlete for a nose tackle. Ran in the 4.8 range, shifty, quick, explodes off the ball. Pretty damn good athlete for a nose tackle. Young talent with tons of upside. I love his upside. Battling Barmore for the most upside in this class, in my opinion. Needed to be doubled often as well. You look at NC State's defense. They run 3 up front with, what did they run? 3-3-5. It's pretty much 3 guys rushing the quarterback pretty much at all times. I don't like it. It causes double teams, triple teams. Alim McNeil, part of that. He's even had some success when he's getting doubled and tripled. So I think going to the NFL is maybe going to be easier because he's not going to see all that. NFL teams aren't going to put 3 guys over this guy. So his job might become easier. Again, kind of going back to the upside thing, I think he's a pretty he's natural at the position. And I do think, kind of sidetracked here, but I do think he's not strictly a nose. I think he can move him around a little bit, but he does look natural. And only 3 seasons at the position. He came out of high school, came in as a linebacker. I think he played running back as well. That's probably where his athleticism comes from. So he kind of just turned to the position. So I think there's a lot of upside for those reasons. Kind of today's type of nose tackle. I think he has room to grow as a pass rusher in there. But I think he can grow. I do think he can grow. Number 5, Marvin Wilson here from Florida State. I want to like Marvin Wilson even more. I am probably higher on him than most people. Not a lot of buzz on him anymore. 2019, he looked like a first-round pick. Literally looked like a first-round pick. 2020, he doesn't really belong anywhere near ranked number 5 here. So that's kind of the problem. I guess starting with the negatives, a lot of guys, sometimes it's good when they add weight. He added weight, wasn't really a good thing. Didn't play anywhere near as well in 2020 as he did in 2019. So I think if he can lose the weight, kind of gain his athleticism back, get back to playing in 2019, I think he can get back to playing the way he did in 2019 in the NFL. I think teams can get that out of him, get him under control, get his weight right. Rapid fire coaching changes at Florida State sure didn't help. Extremely strong. Almost looked like too strong for offensive linemen. You see him rip guys off and throw them. So that's impressive. Constantly gets his hands on the ball, whether it's pass deflections, block field goals. Deflection machine, I'm calling him. Look like we talked about that. Look like a first-round pick in 2019. Reminds me a little bit of Shelby Harris, which is it's a good comparison to have for him. The Broncos defensive lineman, of course. So banking on Marvin Wilson, kind of getting back towards that 2019. We could be coming back and saying, wow, yeah, that's that guy that we remember. Maybe we could be saying he was the best guy. Based on that 2019, he should be, if it was off that alone, be battling Christian Barmore at the top, realistically. So the talent's in there for me. Next group of guys here, Daviyon Nixon from Iowa. Kind of that second, third round range. I wouldn't have a problem with him going second. I just don't know if the value's super high on him right now. And that's because I think he's strictly a 3 technique, that specific position just right off the outside shoulder of the guard. Teams are looking for that. He was a pretty damn good one. Had production this year too. The thing with that is, guys have, besides the stats, there's players that have good moments when you watch tape that they get pressure, they get hurries, quarterback hits. They don't really show up in terms of the stats. But Nixon, all of his production that you see on the stat sheet, that was kind of his production. Was a big-time player, though, for Iowa. But, I think, it just fits only specific teams, it feels like. So maybe his value gets knocked down from that. But heck of a ball player there. Osa Odighizuwa from UCLA. Another one of those strange, where do we, almost got to play, almost played out of position. Where are we going to put him? Played more inside, kind of over the guard and inside at UCLA. Was pretty solid there. But his body type doesn't have the strength, doesn't really have the body type to play in there. He's almost over the guard. Is probably the furthest he should be in. That's kind of what it is for him because of his size. He does have athleticism to play out there. I think he can adjust and play out there. You've seen it, shown it at the Senior Bowl where they kind of had him playing in the right spots. Pretty good outing there. I think he has the athleticism. Just doesn't have the power to play, the reps where the alignment he was playing at UCLA. So that's why it is a little tricky there for him. Kind of got to switch his position slightly there. But going third round, could go late or early fourth. Marlon Tuipulotu from USC. He's growing on me a little bit because he's kind of today's style nose tackle because he's not just stuck there. He can move around. You've seen him play D tackle as well. Move around a bit. Could get pressure on the quarterback. He's starting to grow on me. Kind of that today's style type of guy there. Had a pretty good season for USC. Tyler Shelvin, nose tackle from LSU. The problem with Tyler Shelvin is really no involvement in terms of getting pressure on the quarterback, so he'll be off the field. He'll be on the sideline on obvious passing down. So that's the tough part. He's just so damn good stopping the run, just directly over the center, throwing double teams off him at times. Just so damn good stopping the run. Big part of the LSU team. Their big year in 2019, of course. Kyrus Tonga from BYU. I like Tonga a lot. Definitely a sleeper here. End up watching a lot of BYU games live because all the Zach Wilson hype made you want to watch those games live. And Tonga stood out to me. Usually those guys that end up standing out in live games, I kind of remember, and those guys end up being good. I'm like, the guys that stand out in live games that ends up being the ones that were the best there. So I like that. Pretty damn good nose tackle, good production, stopping the run, getting after the quarterback. We'll play a little better competition, but I like Tonga there. Jay Tufele, didn't see him this year. Pretty productive, 2019. It's just nothing really wows, though, but teams will be split on him. Jalen Twyman, another tough evaluation. Didn't play this year, opt out. 2019, pretty damn productive. Pretty good tape. Good job getting interior pressure. A lot of that production did happen because Weaver and Patrick Jones getting after the quarterback pretty early in the rep, forcing him up right into Twyman. He did get the job done, but a lot of that, we got some help there. But he still had some good moments of his own. But here's the problem with him. Back in 2019, I guess the questions for him then, does he have the strength to continue? Because he got a lot of production from the very inside. Does he have the power, the strength to play there? Sits out 2020. He gains a good amount of weight, which is a good thing to kind of gain that strength, but maybe he didn't really know how to adjust to it. The Pittsburgh Pro Day, which, by the way, a lot of guys didn't test well. I don't know what they were running on, whatever, but didn't run well. Just doesn't look nearly as athletic, just not athletic enough. But I'm not banking on much here because I have a fifth-round grade, but maybe we're banking on an NFL team kind of, program kind of managing that and kind of getting them right because he is, trying to do things right here and kind of fit, his play style. So maybe there's some upside there. Bobby Brown, true nose tackle from Texas A&M, stopped the run at a pretty high level. Was doubled a lot, so maybe his job becomes easier. Just doesn't really wow a whole bunch. Tommy Togiai here from Ohio State. Extremely tough evaluation here. We saw him at one point, second, third round in mock drafts, and it's kind of gone down for me because I just don't. It's one of those guys. He has pretty good production, disrupting plays, and that's good. That's what you want to like about him, but I just don't know where to put him in the NFL. It's almost like his play style is nose tackle is more of his play style. Maybe his size is somewhere around there too, but I don't think he's strong enough for NFL nose tackle. He definitely doesn't have the athleticism to play, over the guard or outside the guard. He's got the production, but it's just nothing really fits for me on his body type and his play style. It doesn't really fit, and usually those guys are just off the radar completely, but he got the job. It's one of those guys that got the job done. I just don't know where teams are going to put him at the next level. They'll probably put him, in the A gap somewhere. But it's just specific. He's not going to be used a whole lot. So that's kind of where I worry about there. Darius Stills. I like his quickness. I think he's a pretty good athlete down there. So it's definitely a sleeper to look out for. A guy like that might have more upside than some of these guys ahead of him. So maybe he goes a little earlier. Other guys, Jonathan Marshall from Arkansas. Some other ones that can sneak in there. Again, we'll have a spreadsheet I released through our Twitter with all the players and way more ranked. Got tons of players ranked with the grades. Come on a little closer to the NFL draft there for everyone to keep handy. Definitely useful. And again, we'll tweet that out. But that is my interior defensive lineman rankings. Expecting to do the pass rushers, the edge rushers next. Then we'll go on to linebackers, corners, and safeties, and then big board, and then a lot of other NFL draft content leading up to, during, and after the NFL draft. So join us, subscribe, follow our Twitter. That's going to do it. That's going to do it for this one now. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Goodbye.